Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Mind is Stigma. This is episode 4. I'm joined today with John and obviously my co-host Alex.
Cool. Welcome, John. Cheers for coming on the podcast, mate. Obviously, both myself and Tom know you quite well through obviously the Men's Mind Project group that runs obviously today on a Monday. But yeah, we just wanted to get you on because you've got a real interesting story, right, for want of better words. And I know me and Tom spoke about yourself quite a few times. You play quite a vital role in our group as well. So, well, I say our group, Tom's group. But yeah, really wanted to just get your point of view on your mental health, your struggles, your successes, where you got yourself, and then obviously your struggles and fallouts from there. So, yeah, I mean, where do you want to start, mate? Where do you want to start?
Start at the end.
Go on then, start. We'll go backwards. Yeah, we'll start, make our way backwards.
I mean, I could, as we said before, I could not even think about me sitting here doing a podcast for where I was 2019, and after that, because I've had a few little blips in my health, but I'm pretty proud of where I've got to. But as all people with mental health, you struggle and you don't ever praise yourself. That's something I never had in my life at all, being praised by anybody. Not that it's a wonderful thing, but it does help. It does help you to your own self-esteem. Say, "Oh, well done," but never had that.
We spoke about that though the other day as well. Actually, weirdly enough, you come on straight onto the praise thing. Is that we don't, like I said, the last podcast, and I think a few people resonated and come and spoke to me recently about that. Is that they said, "I can't believe what you said," but it actually made sense. Is we don't praise ourselves for having a good day, for the good days. We just judge ourselves on the bad days. And your story, especially when you've said it to me and Tom before in the past, is about you've had a lot more bad days like over the few years that's recently gone by.
Yeah.
But you don't judge yourself, or you're actually appreciating the good days. You really are, and I can see that because when we talk, especially in the, in the group, which like I said, we won't mention names and that, but when you talk, I can see you appreciate having a good day now, and you appreciate the little things, and you don't sweat up the big things anymore, the little stuff.
No, that's 100%. I do, because of I realise now that my mental health has been bad all my life. When you're 6 years old and you're told by your foster parents, do you want to go and live with your real parents? So giving me the decision, that scarred me really all through. And then finding out during certain parts of your life that your father's not your father. I always thought it was the other way around. I thought it was my mother, wasn't my mother, but it was my father, wasn't my father. And I grew up as in a Jewish home. So finding out I'm not Jewish. My mother was Roman Catholic. My dad wasn't my father. Yeah. My real dad's Maltese, and it's like a real bosh.
Did you feel like then, because obviously that's a lot of information to take on at different age groups and throughout the years, did you feel like now coming into like your adult life, probably late teens, early 20s, did you feel like you didn't know where you, like your image, like you didn't know who you combined with in society that made you, if you know what I mean?
I thought my whole life was a lie. Even though my mates from school, they said, no different at all. But then I thought it all settled down. Then when I was 21, 22, I found out that I had a sister in Spain. Ugh, and I always thought it was my cousin, And when I mentioned it to my father, he said, nothing surprises me. And then after that, I was just the whole time, and I ended up working in the city, God knows how, but I did. And I used to self-implode. I did, my first job in the city was at Goldman Sachs. I was there for 8 years, doing really, really well. I was headhunted, should never have left, but I did. And every time I self-destructed.
What did that look like? What did that self-destruct look like from every, like, was it always the same?
Yeah, it's always financial, because I never said no. Never ever said no to anybody, because I looked at it when I was younger, that I was never treated badly when I was a kid, but I never had a lot. But I wanted to give everybody everything that I could do. And instead of saying no, I didn't. Never said no at all. So that just carried on all through my career. I did very well in the city, and it was never me. I never enjoyed it. I don't know. It's, looking back now, I hated every minute of it, really.
Is that
But
because of your personality? Looking at you as a person now that I've met now and on the journey that you're at, I don't know whether I look at you and feel like you don't have the personality to do that because you have you have good intentions.
yes, and that's the thing that um, a lot of the things that happen in the city, you know, happen, and they try to whitewash it that it's good. But in your heart that it's not, and realistically, they're having people over left, right, and centre. Thankfully, I was in institutional, which was um, bank to bank sort of thing rather than individuals. But where it all went tits up for me was when I was approached by some guys to set up a retail brokerage in the UK. And retail basically is mean there's just like individuals buying shares, etc. But this was CFDs, which is different. It's like gambling, really. And I caught on for a while that it was we legitimised that their business in Israel, that's where it was, and we legitimised their business, and they were they were big celebrities out there. So and they were all yeah all legit, all kosher as it were. Certain things happen, and you think, oh, that's not right. That's not right. And everything we tried to do, there was always a break in it. There was always like they always stopped us. And cut long story short, it all went tits up. And I just took it all to heart, personal, and I had no one to talk to. And no one really understood what was going on. It was always like, oh yeah, this blah blah blah, and whatever was going on. And I was always seen as the joker, So I was always smiling about it all. And then just one night, it just all got to me. I was just sitting in the lounge by myself, watching a TV, and there was a Poirot program about someone being killed with insulin, and then there was a comedy program, similar thing about that. And then I was just sitting there and then listening to the radio for a while. Then Mary J. Blige, No More Dramas comes on, and that was it. Just got up, went into the kitchen, and it just the scary thing was that it felt like the most natural thing in the world to do. Yeah, it is, and it just felt, and it was just like everything was going, shh, and it was just like so. I took a hell of a dose, and but it didn't really much happened until the next morning when I was just like all over the place. And then I told my wife what happened, etc. And I shouldn't be here. When the ambulance came, the police came as well because apparently I said I want to drive the car, so she was worried. Um, and the ambulance crew were fantastic. I really thought they were going to be quite belligerent and quite aggressive, but they were fantastic. Um, and when they got me to Whips Cross, I think it was Whips Cross, or I can't remember. Anyway, they got me to the hospital, and they were very good. And I ended. The next thing I was asleep, sort of thing, and woke up. And there's all my friends around me. I thought, what's going on here? So I can't even do that. I can't even kill myself right. I screwed everything up with what I've done in my life. Can't even do that right. The old cliche, as it were.
Did you judge yourself on that? I don't know.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I said, I can't even do that right.
Did that make, because that, like, when we've spoken about this before, and obviously Debbie last week, and talking about her husband, and like, you had that thought in your mind. I don't know how long he had that thought in his mind for, and it was something that he did, and he'd done it for his own reasons. But did you have it in your head that that was something Is that something you've always thought about then, or was that just a momentary? I'm going to just go for it.
In the past, no, in the past I have, but I've never actually acted on it.
Just suicide thoughts rather than any actions ever.
No, but this time it felt right. It just felt natural, and I found that quite daunting. So then, yeah, so I've in the hospital, and it was basically I had to make sure they stabilised me, and they were going to put me in an institution, sort of thing. But they couldn't find a place, so there was up in Scotland. They were looking at everywhere.
Let's freeze there then. Because that then jumps into a whole nother thing, and we've you've discussed it loads of the group about the next stage of it, and obviously that your experience with that is also so vital because I think so many people have experienced it at a different side. But what were you going to say, Tom? Because I thought you was about to say.
No, what I was going to say was when you woke up and you see all your friends and family around you, what was your first kind of thought that come to your head? What was that first reaction?
My first thought was, "Oh shit, I can't do that right." But when I saw them round, I couldn't believe it. And the way I've described it before is when you do an action, it's like dropping a stone into the water and it goes out with ripples. And you don't realise who you touch in your life. I had friends, all walks, contacting me, because they found out what was going on, my wife, whatever. Friends contacted me, school friends contacted me. But, no one judged me. But what happens is that once that ripple goes out, it then hits a wall and it comes back at you like a tsunami of emotion. And that is quite hard to deal with, whether it's guilt, whether it's...
Do you reckon that was more damaging than your thoughts initially to do the act?
Yeah, because you're not... Yeah, no, because you're not... Or I wasn't given the tools to cope with that as of yet. Yeah. But when I went into the institution, as usual, 3 o'clock in the morning, the cloak of darkness, they take you off to wherever it is. And it was mine was King George's somewhere around there in Ilford, and it was horrendous.
Talk to us a little bit about what you saw in these environments, and then how it impacted you.
It's a prison. Yeah. No matter what they say, it's a prison. You're treated like prisoners, even though they try and not treat you like prisoners, but it is. There's people there that shouldn't be there. There's asylum seekers there. There's ex-convicts there. There's guys that have eating disorders. They've been put into care since they're 12 years old, and it is shocking. It was so far out of my comfort zone that so much so that I knew I was going into it. My friend Craig to shave all my hair off because I had to, because I had long hair at the time. I had to get the persona that I'm going to be a tough person in there rather than otherwise get eaten alive.
Yeah,
there was some very dark humour. Very dark humour. What I took in with me, I mean, I'm not religious whatsoever. I took the Old Testament in with me because I wanted to get better. And the Old Testament is a hard read. It's a very hard read. So it's the only way I thought to actually get my mind.
Do you have to delve into something that's bigger than you potentially?
Whether you believe it or not,
that's the thing. But that's something I've spoken about with someone before. Is when there was, I don't know why, but I've turned to looking at X, Y, and Z, and I'm like, it's because you want to think about your meaning in life, and then push the evidence that there is around other life forms or other ways of life, and see actually if there's better ways of coping. And I think people look at it as a strategy. And I know, like you said, I'm not a religious person either, but I get how it's a strategy for some people. I get that. Not only that you can use it as strategy, but can you actually go, there's parts to the way that they're talking that you can understand that maybe it's about looking at yourself as a different sort of individual.
But a lot of it, I realised, this is just recently, that I did it because I knew there'd be a lot of Muslims in there. And and I'm being Jewish. Yeah. It was still a self-destruct thing.
Yeah.
To maybe get some reaction from them, but the reaction I got was quite surprising because they thought, "Oh, you're Jewish, you can do magic." I mean, they're serious, And it was, and I got them reading. And I know I'm a not. I like to tell people things that help them, and they didn't realise half the stuff I told them, that how close the Jewish and Muslim religion is, etc. And they went, really, and it showed how they were indoctrinated. But there was one night, it started coming into next phase. The first night, there was a guy watching me the whole time. I was very aware of it, and I went into my cell, my room, whatever it is, and a knock on the thing. I've opened it. This 6'6" Asian guy. He says, "What are you reading?" I told him the Old Testament. Turned around and walked away. The next morning, he attacked 3 members of staff. He was the most violent person in there, but I didn't know that. Didn't know that at all. And then a couple of days later, I got up in the middle of the night. I just don't know why. He don't go the way. And there's a guy sitting there, and he's like growling. I've never seen him before. And he's got a leopard skin jacket on, growling. So I've gone to the reception guys there. I said, he's a bit, oh no, he's fine, he's fine. Next morning, it's all kicked off. He's went to attack the guy I was talking to. When I've got the sort of carers in there to involved. They've sent me out to the garden to be with the other guy that got attacked. I've turned round, and as I'm going there, he's come at me, and I said, "Go on then." Just again, because I was in such a, and he's punched me. I'll never forget. He's punched me in my chest. Didn't feel a thing. Did not. Well, obviously my adrenaline's going. Whatever. I'm not on medication at that time. I don't think. And now, so I've gone right. That's it. He's had his first one. Now I'm going to go. And they told me, no, he's not well. I said, pardon? And I am, but he attacked me later on in the day. He got my scars down my arms and everything. And he didn't get the older medical truncheon until later on when he attacked member of staff. But that in itself put me into where I definitely wanted to get better. I knew I wanted to get better. And when I had some friends come and visit me, that it was totally out of their comfort zone. And that just, and then when my wife came, my youngest daughter wanted to come. And
what was the reception you get from your family from being there? Because I think that
they saw it, and
hard.
they were scared for me.
Because you don't know because with stuff like that, I mean, obviously, I worked in the prisons for quite a long time. Well, a shortish period, but a long enough time to know about the ins and outs of mental health when you're inside an institution. But I really struggled to see families looking at their partners and sons, daughters, whatever else, and not judging them for the way that they looked as well and behaved, and the other people that they were around, and not thinking, are you actually not one of those, or are you going to become that? And it's scary because it's an unknown thing, and especially if you've entered an environment like that for the first time ever. Being as someone that started off with a level of mental health that most people have, I'd say is that work, stress, self-destruct. Everyone does that. A lot of people do, especially in the games that you were in. Yeah. That's that. But then when you move away from that, like you did, and then it really fell off the wagon, and you've ended up where you've gone, that must have been, for the people around you, as much as you, horrifying.
Horrifying. Scary. And I look back now, and it's my closest friend, who's been brilliant. He came to visit me, and it's totally alien. Really is totally alien. And I remember the door was opened, and we were talking in there, and this Ed put around, "Can you go and get some gear for us?" And my friend looked at me and said, "I think you better go." And it always kicked off on a Wednesday. And when a couple of times it kicked off, my wife was there, and it was really bad. And to be fair, the guy that kicked it off actually came and apologised to me. and said, "I'm sorry," because your wife was there, etc. But it was a violent thing. They tried to get me on medication there, and I wasn't having any of it.
What sort of medication were you?
I don't know. It's a little pill, and I know I had it once,
Yeah.
and because they let me out on sort of on release sort of thing, and it made me a zombie. As big as a pinhead,
Yeah.
and it just knocked me for six.
Going back to the, like you saying about your friends and family,
Yeah.
they say your times of your hardship is when you know your true friends and family are.
Yeah, yeah.
And I could go back with that because obviously a little while back when I had my turn, I didn't hear from a lot of people that I thought I would have heard from, but I heard from people that I didn't think I would hear from. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I know people. Some people find it hard, don't they? They don't know how to talk about it. They don't know how to. And but I mean, I was hearing from people that I ain't heard from for ages.
Yes.
And then there's people who I'm friends with, I talk to every day that I didn't hear a whistle from. I mean, my brother and sister. I mean, my brother he'll contact me. He suffers himself. My sister, I didn't hear from her. I didn't hear from her, and I think it was probably about 2 weeks later or something, and she messaged me and said that I'm really sorry. I haven't messaged her. She went, but she went, I just thought I was letting you kind of let you be kind of thing. And it was only talking to her, then I realised my brother's had a word of her and said that you should contact, but she just doesn't know. I didn't know how to do it. I mean, I don't resent her for it. It's one of those things. But yeah, people just don't know how to react to it.
That is the problem. The education of people, because everybody's suffering with mental health, no matter what. But some people, the special people, take it a bit far, and society over the years hasn't helped with the way we react to it. In the old days, they used to put nails in your head for your eyes and give you lobotomies and that sort of stuff. But again, we haven't come far enough to people understanding to how to respond to family friends, to actually notice the little triggers, the things when someone's really active and they go really quiet.
Yeah.
So those are the sort of things that need to be looked at. And to be fair, it is still so much to go through.
Do you think then, so I get this with a lot of the guys that come through it and just general the people that I've worked with over the years, is that I actually generally end up doing sometimes more work with the families than I do with the individual, because the individual, I have to explain that and as a person, you're going to carry that forever, right? And you have carried it, but it came out in the way it came out, and fortunately it didn't work, which for some people was actually unfortunate at the time, and it can feel like that. But I have to explain to the family about signs and symptoms, about how to talk to someone actually, and to almost reteach the basic skill of having a conversation, right? And not having to beat around the bush sometimes, or figuring out how an individual feels in that moment in time. Picking up on the social cues around how you might start looking differently, and when you're out and about, you might start feeling anxiety, or how your tablets affect you. And it's about that education again, isn't it? It's almost like it takes something, and it takes something really bad to happen before people start switching on. And it's sad because it's normally families that say, I wish I knew more about this before so that I could have identified that. And it's sad because I think, same for you, Tom, and I know your missus is overly supportive, but it's even when you've got that person right next to you by your side, it's you educate that person every day on you as an individual. And I think it's such a wide thing, but it starts with the basic teachings, whether it be in school, where we could talk about earlier, or later on we'll talk about it, about clubs, sports clubs and that, just making it part of a routine of communication about how you feel, and to make it, to normalise this, it should happen. But I think, like you said, that for your family and for your friends, you're going to find that split difference of some that just, won't even acknowledge it, but are there to help you, and some that acknowledge it to the point where they have to ignore it, but ignore communication with it because they don't know how to communicate with it.
100%. And it's the old adage, you can't be bothered, you don't know how to react, or you've got so much going on in your own life.
Yeah.
But looking back on for me, when I got out of the institution after about a month and a half, I think, it was a real, because if I stayed in there any longer, I could have been institutionalized.
Yeah.
And that's very, it's so easy to get institutionalized, because everything's done for you, but, your food, etc.
Do you think that then? Do you think like so? Thinking about the institutionalizing thing, is that something then? Do you think that is at the detriment of places like this? Do you think it affects more people than it would potentially help? Do you think actually, if you was left in a community with a real good mental health nurse, a team, like they have, but maybe a little bit more better funded, do you think that you would have progressed a lot quicker?
Oh, definitely. Because when I was in there, they had the CQC coming in, and Quality Care Commission,
Yeah.
and I remember the manager of the the ward said, "Well, she got us all together."
Yeah.
She said, "They're coming in tomorrow, and so basically, want you to be your best behaviour." Da, 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 da. And I said to her, I said, what you're doing is fraudulent. Then how do you know I'm not a secret shopper?" And she looked at me. What? I said, I could be from a CQC. Listening to you. You brought extra staff in. So basically, in the kitchen, when instead of having one person, you had three people serving lunch. And I turned around and said, "Well, why don't you get um, some of the inmates there to help, serve the lunch? Give them jobs to do." Oh, then we got to pay them. So they don't. You can basically, give them
Volunteer roles, yeah.
exactly, and it was all weird. So they come in, and I've let them all have it. But I just told them what it is.
Obviously, I've known you for quite some time now, John, and you're also very similar. You're very similar to me. You're an advocate for mental health now, and you've been doing your bit to help the communities as well. And just tell us a little bit about your the football you're involved in and all that. And
When I came out of the institution, I got involved with a thing called Coping Through Football, which is over in Essex, which is a most amazing thing, and it's in association with the NHS. Basically, everybody they've made it from 7-year-olds upwards, at different times of day, etc. Involved with football clubs, but going to play football.
Yeah.
So when I moved over to Kent after my sepsis episode and whatever, I was keen to get it to over here. So middle of the night, as you do when you wake up, I've got on the Kent FA website and I've just seen, oh look, there's a thing about football. So I've messaged this guy. Next morning, he's messaged me back. So we had discussions about it, and the Kent FA do assist with some football sessions in the area, but they are just football sessions. They're not with the NHS, because that's what I really wanted to get into. Because people that really need it. I'm not saying the guys that do it now aren't needing it, but it's people that are been released from hospital, really depressed, etc. So it's taken a while, but today we had 18 people there. I think 18 people there, and it was great. There was one guy there for the first time today, and he's in his trousers and whatever, and he said, "Oh, I'm a bit out of my depth." And so what I did was we started with walking football, so got him involved in that. He made a couple of good saves and thing. And then as the games went on, put it into normal football, and he still got interactive into it. I said to him, "Well, you weren't out your depth, are you?" And he smiled, and that's what it's all about.
yeah,
And it's getting the endorphins going. So now what we're doing is I'm meeting with on the 18th with another guy from the Kent FA who knows the guy from Coping Through Football, and we're going to try and expand it, make sure we have, because they don't realise what they've got because they're involved in the NHS.
Yeah.
They don't realise what they've got. And the NHS have asked me to go in and do a couple of chats with the senior people there as well, because we are scratching it over here, and there's so many people that need it, and it's not only football; it's any sport. you know, and it shows that people there that we care about them.
What does sport do for you then? Like as a person that's going through what you've gone through and how you coping still.
Yeah.
What does football like? What does actual football do for you as a person? Like, if you could just summarise it, what does it actually do? Like, partaking, watching it, being part of that community.
I can't play now because of my hips and stuff. It's giving people that don't normally have the opportunity, the facilities to do these things. That when I start off, it's people with mental health don't really talk, and that's the thing. And when you're on a football field, you must talk.
Yeah.
So when they're passing the ball, they're like pass, pass. So, and I encourage them to talk. And if they don't talk, then whatever they do a forfeit. But it's you can't be too tough on them.
No, of course.
But there's some talented boys there that come along, really talented boys, and it's heartbreaking to see. It is, because people just are oblivious to it all, and I've said it before, and I think it's an epidemic. It is really an epidemic, and it's not getting any better. It's not getting any easier. And whether it's like people blowing mobile phones, laptops, or whatever, but it's just basically it's good old talking. When they're the ITV side, it's good to talk.
Yeah.
That in itself is true. And you sit around dinner time, everybody's on their phones at dinner.
Yeah.
And where's the art conversation gone?
It's heavily technology nowadays, isn't it?
It is.
It's all technology, all phones, laptop, like say computers, and just interacting face to face is sometimes enough.
It makes me laugh because there's guys there that just do things and they all enjoy it. And to me, that is one of the best things I can do because I can't do things at the moment properly. I can't work. But so now I'm just, spending my time looking to expand this. I'm involved in another charity called Jamie in North London, and on the 12th, I've got to sit down with an MP to talk about suicide. So the more that we can do to get out there, and I'll talk to anybody. I was where was I? I can't remember. My wife's going to have a hospital appointment, I think, and I was just standing outside. This woman saw me walking over with this crutch. And what happened to you? Got in conversation, and she knew my original surgeon from my hip. And we got talking, and it was amazing. And she's walked away like with this little step and a tip of an I did as well. And that's what doesn't happen anymore. People don't look at you in the eyes.
Do you think it's offloading? Like, I like it because people call it like, the art of communication, but I think it's like the art of offloading because if you think about it realistically, right, when you're talking, especially when you're talking about something that's happened to you, so it's you, not about something you've learned or heard, it's about you. So it's not like, I'm going to go and do a mental health awareness thing. It's a real person talking about a real issue, right?
Yeah.
And then what they do is then they can sit there and try and put themselves in your shoes and go, wow, this is big. Like, actually, this is something I need to sit up straight and have a look, listen to this.
But there's an old adage that there's always someone worse off than you.
Is that dangerous? Is that dangerous
Yes.
thing, isn't it? It's dangerous.
It's very dangerous because it doesn't help. And it's something that you think, oh, there's always there is always someone, no matter what. There's always going to be someone richer than you, someone poorer than you. Exactly. So you can't. I think what's happened is when I did my CBD course, whatever it is, or CBT course, it worked and it didn't work. It does help you highlight certain issues, certain things, but you have to really. It's down to yourself, and that's a horrible thing to say because no one can help you except for yourself. And it's a struggle.
You need to want to know about it. That's the thing again of people put it to you. It's either at the forefront of your mind and you're worried about other people and you care, and you have that empathy, or you're like, that is too heavy at the moment for me to take on. And that's when, I mean, Tom, you've probably seen it more than other people, and I've seen it here, is when people are ready to step out from behind the curtain and go, I'm not well. Like, I didn't believe in this shit, and that was me. I didn't believe in this shit. I don't think it matters. Blah blah blah. Like, that person was basically a weak person, and now I'm like, okay, well, that's me now. So I'm sorry, but yeah, let's sort this out.
CBT, like you're saying about CBT, I had CBT a few years ago, well, and I agree with what you're saying. It helped me enough. Don't get me wrong. Reason I started Men's Mind was because of the CBT, because I see how it done, and I struggled to talk. Still having a CBT, I really found it hard to unload, but I found it easier to unload to people like yourselves and that, someone who's been there, someone who I know has had that issue. I mean, talking about mental health now, I love it. I love talking about mental health. I will sit there and I will talk about mental health until the cows come home. But then talk about something else, I might struggle.
Yeah.
But talking about mental health where I know it's making a difference to someone and somebody is listening and they might take something away from it is a big thing. And I think, more people need to be talking about it. It's not enough people talking about it. Like we said, there's not enough people talking about it. But if everyone spent half an hour a day talking about it, just talking about it.
I mean, one thing that's really affected me recently is anxiety. And that's something that, looking back, you had a bit of nerves when you're going out, sort of thing. But we were going to a friend's 60th birthday party, and the close, good friends, didn't want to go. Came to it, didn't want to go.
Why though? Why? What actually creeps in at that moment in time?
I don't know. I just don't know. It just came over me.
Is it something like, because I find it hard to explain to my missus or to anyone why I feel, or even why sometimes I say what I say, because I'm basically self-destructing that moment, saying that basically I'm pissed off, I don't want to go. But instead of saying that, I'm like, don't really like that person, don't really know what to wear, don't really care. Like, and I do care, like I care about the person we're going to go and see, but I just don't feel sociable enough or something. I don't know.
It was just didn't want to go. And then my wife said to me, have a sleep. So an hour's sleep, woke up and we went. When I got there, it was like, it was like,
Yeah, hot. Yeah,
it was.
I get that. I mean, anxiety is a big thing with me as well.
I never had it. Never had it.
I wake up some days and I don't want to do something. Like you saying, going to party and that. I've many times I've been invited to places. I get nervous, get really clammy. Throat feels like it's closing up, but then when I get there, sometimes I feel fine. Sometimes at first I can be a bit like, oh God, I'm always looking around and I'm just constantly like.
I look at it sometimes. I mean, I looking back because I used to go when I go out with the boys, whatever. And as soon as I had enough, I'd go. Yeah. And that in itself, I look back now and I thought, oh, that's signs of it.
That thing where you just like, when you've
had enough,
you just go, boom. Yeah. No one knows where you're gone. You're just gone. Yeah, I've done that, and I've been doing it for years. And that's weird that you say that, because I'd never put two and two together. But now I'm sitting there going, I used to just bug out. People are like, where did you go last night? I went, I just went home. Look, I didn't even see the door move, let alone you go. And I was like, well, when I'm done, I'm done.
Oh, the amount of times I'm like a jack in the box all the time, and also I go, oh, I go to sleep now. And it's
maybe that's something we've always had though, because I'm the same. I do that as well. 1 minute I'm absolutely buzzing. People go, there's something wrong with you over there, and then all of a sudden I'm the opposite. I'm sloth mode. I'm completely barely moving. Probably could close my eyes, sleep 6-7 hours straight, and I get that. I think this is why mental health is so interesting, and that's why I think so many more people are interested in it, because you can almost become a better individual for knowing more, 100% for knowing more about mental health, but secondly be more productive with your day if you understand your mental, your not just your physical, but your mental being as well as that. And I think that's something that your group allows, and you've obviously taken full advantage of. And you just said that earlier.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think that I've come on leaps and bounds since I got into the Monday night group. Yeah. Because all the characters that are there, and not naming names, but it is a whole plethora, different people, different walks of societies. There's people that don't even talk. There's people that do talk. There's people that just just whatever, and it's no one judges, and I also like it. 'Cause it's there's no clinical discussions there.
the way I always want to do it. It's like it's not clinical, you know.
Yeah, and that is so. Well, we obviously we had discussions about our medication and stuff, and how wonderful it is the man boobs and stuff. I'm a 36C now. But yeah, it's just, and I think that you touched on the other week about the doctors, having a looking at once a couple of months, looking at your tablets and stuff and medication. Am I going to be on sexual leave for the rest of my life?
What I was just talking about the other week, wasn't it? I was saying that in the group we all had that anxiety, and it's weird because I sat there and thought, I hadn't thought about it, and then all of a sudden when I did, I had a moment where my anxiety, and I thought, like I was saying, I don't know if this is I'm ever going to come off on this, and I was like, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Because like we were saying before, some people are on blood thinners their whole life, and no one would blink, but because it's surrounding mental health. It's like a taboo thing. It's like, if I'm going to go for this job or if I'm going for X, I don't really want that on there. It's like having a speeding thing on your license. You're a bit like, I can't wait for that to go.
Well, the way I look at it is wrong, I suppose, because I look at it, I'm in the autumn of my life, so it don't really matter,
Yeah, you're on the way out. It's done. Finished. Yeah.
I'm like a cat with 9 lives. But yeah, it's something that is a concern because you don't know what you're putting inside your body.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just horrendous. But I think it's got me to a plateau. I don't get as aggravated anymore. I don't, right, so not get explode, but I just get angry, and I don't do that anymore. I just don't.
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as I'm concerned, I think medication has done the right things for me for now, and that's what I need to just remember. But if in summary, then because obviously, mate, John, we talk all day. I mean, you're like me, we can chat all day, and
running out of tape, aren't we? Oh,
showing your age.
That's definitely showing your age. Allow me to say just thanks for coming on, John. It's been great having you.
Like I say, thank you, because without your group, it's a fantastic group, and what you've done and come through yourself, and Alex as well, your experiences. I mean, it has helped. I mean, how many members now?
Yeah.
I mean, it is every day. And you must be really proud of yourself.
I am. I mean, you make my head get bigger than it already is.
Yeah.
I mean, but the wizard is going to make my head go bigger on the camera now. But no, but like I say, thanks for coming along again, mate. It's great to have you on, and it's great to talk about your side of it. And
I mean, we skipped over quite a few things, but
same thing like I said to Debbie, we'll get you back on. I think, they'll be more focused on maybe potentially a certain area if you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I like to talk about that when I lived over here and I got the sepsis.
Yeah.
That in itself was an adventure for myself and my wife.
Yeah.
Because basically I was a prisoner in my own apartment for 7-8 months.
There's so much we can talk about, and I can't wait. We'll get back on, John, I promise, man.
I think we got, we're definitely going to have you back on.
Yeah.
And I'd say it's great to be having you, John, and always a pleasure for me as well. But that's all we've got time for today, guys. We will be back next time for episode 5. Yeah, 5. Episode 5, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and gonna do your little subscribe and all that.
Yes, mate. Always subscribe, follow. Just get on all the platforms: Instagram, Facebook. Swipe. If you're swiping, then you're on Tinder. You're on the wrong one. Yeah, I mean, don't do that because now my miss is going to kick off. But I'm not on Tinder. No swiping, Frau. I'm not there. I promise.
Yeah. But like I say, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you soon. Cheers.